So that's us got the TT bike pretty much ready for the weekend racing. Put the Garmin mount on. You know, I got those delivered a little while ago. The tubs are on. Look at how narrow those are. I know we don't need to go into the range of 25s, etc. I know. But we'll see how these go. They're only 22s, but we'll check it out. So what we need to do is, as you'll have seen from my previous films, we've got the replacement Garmin Vector Sh pedals. I'd had mine for 1.5 years and the pedal pod here failed, so Pedal Power kindly sent them back to Garmin for me, and they issued a brand new set. And initially I thought, oh, amazing, because that's actually a later model, you know, up-to-date new model. So I thought, fantastic. However, again, as you'll have seen from a previous film, which was unfortunately a bit frustrating, which is the joys of training, the highs and lows of the sport, I was exceptionally annoyed because, you know, I was on the tax flow with a resistance setting number 3, you know, which is relatively tough going. I was doing 30 miles an hour. Now, obviously, speed indoors training is irrelevant. What's relevant is the power. But I was doing 30 miles an hour on a resistance setting number 3, which is pretty tough. And my heart rate was at 170 plus. I think it topped out about 175, if I remember rightly. You know, and I was holding that for the VO2 max sessions. But the power, although it was at 300 odd watts, which would be about right for that effort and for me and my body weight of only 64 kilos producing that. So, you know, so that's about right. But the problem was, although I was maintaining that, the rhythm, the cadence, everything was the same, the problem was the power was dropping 20 watts, 30 watts, 40 watts, and at one point dropped 50 watts. For no reason, and I was really having to rip the legs off myself, increase the cadence by 10 to 15 RPM more, increase the speed by another 5 to 6 miles an hour to even bring it back up to 300 watts, and then totally top out my heart rate and ripping the legs off. So there's something not right with these. You know, I have rated these pedals. I have rated the Garmin Vector 2S. For me, they're very handy, and they're also handy if you're on a budget. Although they're exceptionally, you know, they're not cheap by any means, 600 odd pounds for some pedals, but power meter, in terms of power meter, the price is reasonable. And the thing I like about the pedals is you can transfer them between bikes without having to get a stages, so on the crank arm, quartz, etc. And, you know, there's less faff when you just, you know, calibrate your Garmin and that's it. But there's something wrong. It's probably user error by me. So I'm going to take them in and update them. So basically you get a small USB connector, connect it into your computer, that as long as the pedals within, I think it's about 5 meters or round about there, don't quote me on it, but you know, it's rough distance, then it'll update the firmware, etc. So it might just need an update, I don't know. I hope that's the case anyway, because it was very demoralising seeing only 220 watts with a heart rate of 175 at 30 miles an hour and 53.11. So yeah, that's definitely not right. I know that it's not just wishful thinking, it's definitely not correct. So we'll get that checked out and I'll feed back. Cheers.